It's just loading up. Now we're back.
Yeah, sorry about
So we're having some technical difficulties.
that. You go in again.
So continue on. Try one more thing.
You have to tell T to sit it back garden.
Yeah, well, we've sat further away than Linda did. I'm wondering if I can turn my speaker off, if that'll be any kind. Yeah, that's not good. Maybe I'll just. Right, I'll shut down the YouTube page. It's any better? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clear at the moment.
Right, so we are back with our hangout. We're going to continue for as long as we can. We're discussing psychedelics. Aaron, do you think we should start from the beginning, or?
Yeah, I mean, quite a lot of that was quite hard to listen to.
Okay. Well, what I've had to do is I've had to turn off the watch page, because it seemed to be interfering. It was muted and everything, but so I won't be able to interact with the viewers.
Yeah, I'm not.
I won't answer any questions or anything. So we'll just talk as if no one's watching.
Yeah.
So we'll just start from scratch. Tonight we are doing a hangout about psychedelics, the history of them, if there's any uses, if they're any good for you, if they're highly dangerous and you should stay well away from them. Yeah, we're going to try and look at it from as many angles as possible. And
and putting our own personal opinion on it as well, because we've had quite a decent experience with them over the last 12 months. We've had a few trips and I've done quite a lot myself. Also, where to purchase them if people are interested, how to go about growing them.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
So we have done about 10 minutes on another video, but if you just stay with us, we're going to start from the beginning, and we're just going to talk about this and see where it goes. So according to mainstream education, mainstream media, the general population, what is it that we're told about psychedelics?
Well, they're in a Class A category, so they're like up there with heroin and crack and cocaine and ecstasy, acid. They're all in that same category. So they try and scare you from taking it with just that alone.
So the legal side of it is like that it's against the law and it's highly dangerous.
Yeah, and you can get up to 7 years in jail for cultivation or dealing them.
That's a heavy sentence.
It is. It's. I mean, you get the same sentence for armed robbery, don't you?
Really?
Similar kind of time, yeah. So that's the severity that the law looks at it, from that kind of angle. Yeah, but if you read the description of it in the drug category, it sounds like quite enticing.
What's the description like in the drugs category?
It mentions it will help you empathise with other people, a feeling of euphoria and happiness, a different perspective on life. It's like, why is this going to get you 7 years again?
Because it might change your whole mental attitude.
Yeah, it might help you break the brainwashing.
Yeah, it's going to break the brainwashing and turn you into a thoughtful, caring person that considers other people's feelings.
Yeah, and you'll not meet no God from a book on magic mushrooms.
You will or you won't,
You
sorry.
won't, you won't. No, not one from a book.
Not one from a book.
They all about sorts of. You not meet that guy.
So the society takes mushrooms very seriously, and there's a hefty penalty for cultivation and dealing. But the description of it sounds very nice. Yeah, I agree with that. It is quite enticing.
Yeah.
So I remember when I was at school in social education, personal and social education, they did warn us about LSD in particular and said it was highly dangerous, and if you was to take it, you could purposefully end your own life because you're going to think you can fly and you're going to jump, you know, a high floor and think you can fly, you know. But and also I had that same narrative pushed on me from mainstream media in popular TV dramas. So it was well embedded in my mind as a a teenager, that LSD in particular was very, very dangerous and you shouldn't take it. And I did believe it.
Well, that's what they put it out there for, to like say in Grange Jail earlier, to hit the teenagers, because they're going to take this stuff on board. It's like, I don't want to be like that character. But it was the bad guy, and it's like everyone wants to be a bad guy, so it's sort of had a reverse reaction, really.
Yes.
But I can't really remember getting the drug thing pushed on me, or perhaps I didn't pay attention to it because curiosity killed the cat, and I was very curious as a kid growing up. Have you got a guard?
Hello. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
My microphone just turned itself off. And
All the
what,
grades are coming out tonight.
yeah, what I was trying to say there was, as far as society is concerned, it's taken very seriously, and they go to great lengths to deter you from partaking in magic mushrooms and LSD. And if they can't scare you with the law, they'll scare you in your mind and drill it in how dangerous it is and how you shouldn't do it. But when you look at history, it turns out that all the ancient cultures and civilizations used to take psychedelics all the time for very important things.
Yeah, it was deeply embedded in the culture. It was like a rite of passage, I think.
So you can look at cultures like from almost any time period, from anywhere on Earth, and you'll find that there's been some use for magic mushrooms or some hallucinogenic plant at some point for something.
You might have gone off again.
No. No. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back. You keep coming and going. It's
That's annoying.
it is. It's really frustrating.
It's because of what we're talking about.
Probably. We can continue. If I can hear you, then I can respond.
Well, I can't remember what my question was, but yeah, just look.
Cultures like putting magic mushrooms being a big part of the life and the ceremonies that they did, and it was even the witch doctors and the shaman who help people. They'd be giving mushrooms for, like, you know, addiction, dealing with addiction problems, depression. I'm sure they got down on things in the olden days, so it'd just be a natural path, you know, to go down.
When you're talking about depression in general,
Mm.
can you explain, like, how mushrooms can make you feel and how it can help with depression and why that might be?
Well, I think people get stuck in a loop in the mind, and it's difficult to snap out of it, and it's like a spiral. So magic mushrooms are like a reset. They reset the brain. It's just your cognitive, the way your mind thinks. You can go around it. It's a problem-solving drug. Just solves your problems that you think are big problems, but it just puts things into perspective. And it's like a problem shared, but you're more than sharing it. You're conquering it and moving on to something else. And it's just simple. Just a simple answer to something that you might have been struggling with for months or years even.
So it resets the psyche then, so that you can deal any trauma from the past and just put it behind you now and move on.
Realize it is in the past and there's nothing you can change, and just looking at things from a different angle, because you can just focus on the bad and not look round it, and you're not dealing with it. You're just hitting a wall, but realize that the wall's in front of you. You can go around the wall or under it, or there is no wall.
Like there is no spoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for me, when on mushrooms, my problems turn into shapes, and it's like one of those little games you had as a kid where you put a triangle through the triangle, or a square through the square, or round through a round, and it just turns my problem into a shape, and it pops it through the hole, and it's like it's gone, and it wasn't a problem all along.
Yeah, very interesting.
Dealing with stuff.
I was reading recently about companies in, I think, California, like high-flying companies, and they're all microdosing. They've got all the staff microdosing on psilocybin.
That's Silicon Valley. So the software engineers are microdosing to just expand the mind, to give them a different look on the same things.
Yeah, it said that it makes everybody's running more efficiently and effectively. People's coming up with great ideas all the time. It's like limitless.
Yeah, it changes your approach to your thinking, and how can that be a bad thing? Rather than having a one-track mind like some people have, you can have many different tracks to approach a problem.
Sorry, we've just had a moth join the show. It's come to listen to us. So, now, there's people I was supposed to send links to listen to the show, but I'm not able to because my computer's not working. So I'm just going to carry on. Can you hear me? And there's been many studies in recent years about how the effects of LSD and magic mushrooms do help with depression, and microdosing. You can take a large amount on one time and have a great effect that lasts for months and months and months and months, or you can just microdose, which means taking a tiny amount that's barely noticeable, but it just will bring you out of that depression and make you look at life in a new perspective.
Yeah, it's just so simple and so effective, and it's natural. It grows in people's back gardens. How can you criminalise something like that? Just doesn't seem right. it's so severely to criminalise it, then you feel like, are they hiding something? Which they are. You can't deny that. In the past, they recreated psilocybin, which is the drug that's in magic mushrooms, and they can create this in a lab, but they took it to a woman who was mentioned earlier. I don't think mentioned in this part, but there's a South American lady who does she sort of made it big, the magic mushroom ceremonies, and they gave her some, and she did a full ceremony with this pharmaceutical produced psilocybin, but she says it was missing God, so that you need the plant to produce it. You can't just do it in a lab, like. So they realised that. So I think they stopped going down that route because they couldn't create it in a lab and put a price tag on it, like everything else, like cannabis and things like that.
The synthesized psilocybin that does not come from Mother Nature is missing God, because God for me is Mother Nature.
Yeah. Well, and the mushrooms have a story to tell, and that's part of the trip. They want to tell you something. You just got to ask it the right questions or listen. But can you create that in a lab? I mean, you're never going to do that. But why try? I mean,
but I must agree with what she said, because I've had quite a few experiences this last 12 months with magic mushrooms, and every single time I've met God, I've met many gods, and it's been absolutely fantastic. And I'm not suggesting everyone goes out and takes magic mushrooms, but I think everybody should try some in their life.
Well, yeah, and it's all about your intent and your setting. Don't just like have someone go on a night out. You want to be out in the woods, camping with friends, close friends who you can trust, or at home in a safe environment, music, intent, setting. And that's the most important part. And then you can't fail to have an enjoyable experience. Sometimes it might seem hard, but you go through it. It comes in different waves, different strengths. You are in control at the end of the day. And it's nice to let loose and not be in control, and that's when you can really enjoy what the mushroom has to give you.
It's really interesting how you said that the mushrooms talk to you, because they do talk to you. They communicate to you very, very clearly, and it gave me a little theory on what mushrooms really are, and I thought that somewhere in the creation of creation, some clever God thought we need to give them a channel back, like a lifeline back to us, so that they don't get lost. And so they give us the instructions to eat mushrooms and to put certain plants together, because how would these tribes in these places, back in the past know to put these plants together, unless they were just highly experimental and trying all kinds of plants together. But anyway, so yeah, I thought that they were deliberately being encoded into this reality so that we've got a gateway back to the gods.
Well, nature is just perfectly balanced, and it's just all here for us. It's like a beautiful experience. Everything's here for us, for this experience of our life, and it's all been taken away, so we're not really getting the full experience that we should. I mean, it's probably stuff that we don't even know about that's written about and kept from us. And it's like the ayahuasca that came to someone in a dream, but has that been documented before?
What do you mean? It came to someone in a dream?
The ayahuasca in the Amazon, some of the shamans had a dream that you mix the vine with the leaf, and you had to do it and go through this process because the one doesn't work without the other. You need to mix the vine from one tree and the leaf from another. They're not even the same tree. Mix them, and then that activates the DMT to give you the trip. But some guys had a vision of this and then followed it through and come upon ayahuasca, and that's where what we have today. So it was like a gift, astral projecting the information. I don't know, but probably, yeah.
That's what came to my mind as you described it.
It's connecting to the ether, but who would be more true to source than someone who's living in the jungle? I mean, they're not been altered or spoiled. They're living the true free life, aren't they?
Yeah.
So they're the ones who are going to get the most. They're going to be in tune with nature and open to these visions. I mean, we probably get visions, but we don't know how to interpret them.
Yeah.
We just put it down to a dream or something you don't understand.
I think a lot of people probably get visions in dreams, but just think it's just a dream. Because no one thinks dreams are important, you know.
It's like everything's so complicated in this day and age, and surely if your life was a lot simpler, then you'd be more receptive to what, you know, things are going on in your mind. But you got like TVs and phones and everything's occupying you, so you probably take that into your vision with you.
Yeah. Oh, no, I don't want that. I want to leave this place behind and go to
Scared.
the new galaxy that I've just created. And anyway, so the 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 very powerful experiences that can have profound effects on a person's life. So I think I agree with you, Aaron, on the reasons why they're so harsh with the treatment of people that do produce magic mushrooms or sell magic mushrooms, and that's why they scare people from taking them, because they don't want people resetting the mind and then becoming, you know, less materialistic and seeing the system for what it is, and, you know, stop being twats with each other and start being nice to each other. So that's not.
Well, you're holding up the mirror to your true self, and there's no escaping who you are. Mushrooms, you can't hide behind ego, because the ego is stripped away. So you're seeing yourself laid bare, and then if you can continually do that process, then you've dealt with your issues, and that's when the beauty starts. You strip yourself back. When I start tripping, sometimes I feel like I'm being deconstructed. I'm being stripped down to nothing, and then put back together again.
So, I mean, that sounds like it could be quite a frightening experience for people.
It can be a little bit overwhelming, but I've done quite a few heavy doses in the past, so it's probably to be expected. Now, an heavy dose is like 5 grams, 6 grams dry. I consider to be an heavy dose, which is 50, 60 grams fresh, which is quite a lot.
Quite a bunch of mushrooms there, isn't it?
Yeah. But I started off on sort of truffles and built up to that over a 12-month period.
Yeah, so what you were saying before about people shouldn't just go in and take LSD or mushrooms without any thought or consideration about what they're doing. You know, they need to make sure that they're in a safe environment with people they trust, and
in a good place in your mind. You don't want a lot on your mind. Whereas it isn't. If something's bothering you, it's going to just might enhance that. So you need to be quite at peace with yourself. You know, have a weekend off or away and relax for a day. Try and leave the stresses and strains of real life behind you. Don't take them into your trip with you, because, you know, that's not what it's for. So, like I say, it comes back to intent and just your surroundings. A few candles lit, turn your phone off. Make sure you're not going to be disturbed, and you should have an awesome time. And if you can, it's best to be outside in nature. I mean, they're the best trips. You need the weather for it, really, or even camp out and have a fire. As a kid, we used to often just go to the woods, trip in and have a little adventure. So that were our thing. Lose ourselves in the woods for a few hours. I'm not hearing you.
There we go. We're back.
Yeah, we're back again.
Yeah. Someone keeps switching it off with the mind. So sorry, what was we talking about? Anyone that's watching, I cannot see the view page. I can't interact with chat. So please just interact amongst yourselves and enjoy the show. We're talking this evening about psychedelics, LSD, magic mushrooms, hallucinogenics, ayahuasca, DMT. We're talking about the history of them, the mystery of them, the personal experiences, society's views, and all that. So, yeah, there's a mind. They're definitely a mind expander. To make you look at things, but they also make you realize things. Like people smoking cannabis, and that was outlawed for so long, and no one can smoke it. And it's clear it's because it makes you question things, and it makes you look at things differently, and not take life so seriously. But mushrooms are on a whole nother level, and they can completely reset your mind. And not just make you question things, but make you see things clear as day. They hold it right up there for you to look at. One of the things they make you look at is yourself, which isn't always very comfortable, but it is a positive experience, because if you can learn from that, you're looking at your own self and your own life and the things you've done, and why you've done them, or why you made that decision, or why, all these different things, why you behave in this way. It can really change a person's, not just their outlook on life, but the way they exist in life.
Yeah, it makes you look at yourself from somebody else's perspective, not just from your own perspective. And that is the real beauty of it. Or you've responded to people in your past, or you approached, like say, a situation, and when you're fucked up, it's like it comes back to haunt you. But it's like you need to get over these things. It's something little things we carry throughout our life, and they all start adding up. So I recommend, I call it therapy myself, mushroom therapy, to anybody.
Yeah. It is like therapy. It can be like therapy. Can you explain to the viewers then what a bad trip is? Because I just thought a bad trip was where you was like hallucinating, and the couch was gonna gobble you up, and you see monsters everywhere, and you're running for life, and then get hit by a bus because you're on the main stretch. What's a bad trip, Aaron?
For me, on magic mushrooms, I haven't really had a bad trip. I've had, like, say, a bad 20 minutes, but then I've always managed to move through it. Now, I've had bad trips on acid, though. And for me, with them, it's like I get stuck in a loop in my mind and I can't break out of it. And then I just focusing right deep inside myself, and you get lost in your own thoughts. And they suggest start singing or start to chant. Maybe talk to someone, but someone's not always there. Put music on and sing along to it, to snap yourself out of it.
Yeah.
But like I say, acid for me, and I wasn't able to snap myself out of it. I just had to ride it out.
And did you learn anything from that experience, though?
Yeah. Don't take too acid.
I knew you was going to say that.
And be wise of the people you choose to trip around, because some can easily trigger you with a touchy person, or you know, I don't know. It's a acids. It's not natural for me. It don't feel natural. It doesn't feel like it absorbs you, but perhaps I'm not too enough. It's a totally different drug to the magic mushrooms.
Yeah, I agree with that totally.
The mushrooms are far more intense
And they have more to tell you, I think.
and life changing.
Um,
And like I said, there's spirits and there's like bodily pleasures that I've experienced on magic mushrooms that like are out of this world, and like the pleasures of the mind are really being stimulated, and it's far beyond any pleasures of the flesh. But these are like something that you don't really get every time you trip. It's like something that'll happen every now and again, and it's a wonderful experience. Sometimes the music can trigger it, but you need to be in quite deep meditation. Awesome experience. Now, some people feel like the demons are creating it, but it's just like a mushroom. The mushrooms are doing it for you. Pleasures on this world. That's all I can say.
Well, yeah, it is beyond this world. It's not. For me, in my opinion, I do feel that it opens a gateway to another world. And these experiences that I had are like real, solid experiences, like actual memories, not not a waking dream, you know, that I can't piece together or anything like that. I've had very, very clear messages directly to me. But what I was going to say was, I just wanted to make a point on what you were saying about be sure that the people you are doing this with are people that you trust or get on with or get good energy from, because when you do have magic mushrooms, it heightens your ability to pick up on other people's energies.
Yeah.
So you might pick up on something that you weren't quite aware of sober, and now you've picked up on this, and it all gets amplified. So yeah, you pick up on all that. It becomes a lot more intense, and if you're with someone you don't really like, or you don't really know and trust, then it could spiral into not such a pleasant experience.
I think it comes down to experience. That's the word. And if you're gonna have a big trip with people who haven't had a lot of experience with mushrooms, then it could all like go a bit Pete Tong. It's knowing it, you know, if they've been deep in a trip or not and they haven't experienced it, then they could. You know, some people just go a bit weird with it, but that can like say if I'm sorting a ceremony out and there's a few of us tripping, then I'm concerned about the people that I set the ceremony up for, and I'm tripping, but I'm also aware of people enjoying their trip because I've sorted it out and things like that. So that adds to your like what you've got on your mind. So you don't really enjoy your trip as much because you've got more people's interested to be concerned about, and so it's a distraction. So I usually enjoy the trips with people who are on the level who can handle it, so I can let go of myself as well, or on myself, just tripping alone in the dark or with some music on. And each one has its own experience.
Yeah, never the same.
It's never the same. Plus, just a trip on yourself is different to a trip with people, but it can be as equally or if not more satisfying, because you can really just spend 4 hours inside your own mind. You're not got to talk to anyone or check if they're all right or worry about if your music's what they're like. You can really let go and get into it, and I recommend that to anyone as well.
So a bit like what they do, don't they take DMT and then get in one of those tanks, the deprivation tank.
Yeah, the suspension, the water suspension tanks.
This is your own deprivation tank you're talking about, just in the house on your own, in the dark, lie down, go into yourself, and have an experience. Changing the subject slightly, but still along the lines, I want to talk about Albert Hoffman, who is a Swiss chemist and discovered LSD by accident.
Right.
No, he didn't just fall upon it, but he was trying to create some stimulant, and he was synthesizing lysergic acid and what even said the next bit, diethylene, I can't say it. And so he was expecting different results, and he didn't get what he was looking for, so he shelved it for a period of time, like 5 years or something. And then when he came back to it, he accidentally absorbed some through his fingertips. And after he'd experienced this further, he thought it would be ideal for psychotherapeutic use. Now, the first time I ever took acid, because I think it's really interesting that that's what he thought it was for, I had such a profound and spiritual effect that I was like saying that they need to do this in marriage counselling, because I felt like I'm married and been in a really long relationship and like got really strong togetherness and everything, but you piss each other off from time to time and all the rest of it. Well, I went on this spiritual journey with my husband, who was not there at the time, and just solved any issue that we'd had in like the last 10 years. It was amazing.
Yeah, it's you put barriers up between yourselves and you don't realise they're there, but sometimes you need that outward look to see them, what the problems are, and they're not problems at all once you realise they're there, if you want to get through them anyway.
So I'd say like one of the things that it did for me, and this was LSD, not magic mushrooms, but I'd say that it kind of it released any emotional blockages that had built up and dissolved them.
Yeah, that's exactly what it does.
So yeah, very interesting. So LSD was discovered by accident in 1938, which is a long time ago, and then it really hit the streets in the 60s. Was it the 60s? The anti-war movement.
Yeah, I think they experimented a lot with soldiers, didn't they? With the Tavistock Institute. So I think they sort of involved things like that to see how far the human psyche could be pushed before it would break.
And that's frightening, isn't it? Aren't they cruel?
Yeah, they're proper evil bastards, and they've tried everything. We are rats. I mean, someone somewhere has been experimented on right now.
Right now, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's what a horrible thing to do to someone, you know. Couldn't think of anything worse than...
They were giving them massive doses as well, like not just a couple of tabs, they gave them like 100 tabs worth and stuff like that. But they'd give it in liquid form.
Oh, that is absolutely horrendous.
And then like make them run an assault course and things. And fight to see if it could increase aggression, you know, and study it on all levels.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, people should look that up. That's really interesting. I'm going to have a look at that myself. Yeah. I didn't know that. I knew that that they had experimented on people, but the point I was making was about when the anti-Vietnam War, was it, and all the hippies and everything. But if people look into that, you see there's a whole other conspiracy there of actually why it was dumped on the streets in such large amounts, and why there was an anti-war movement that actually didn't move anywhere. So you can go and look at that, because that's interesting in itself, but it's kind of on a tangent to what we're talking about tonight, which is the different uses of psychedelics and some history of them. So I don't know if we've talked about it on this video or the other video, so I'm sorry to be repeating myself. The fact that in ancient cultures they've been used for all kinds of things and held in that high regard, that they really thought of, and in these cultures it's not just for messing about and like people dropping acid and going down the club or whatever. They took it seriously, and it was thought of as a gateway to the gods in some cultures, like a direct line.
Yeah, it's a hot wire in it, into spirituality, but it's like you're hot wiring into Mother Earth. I mean, on some of my trips, I start to vibrate. My body vibrates. It's like I'm sort of semi-fitting, and it'll start in my legs, and it's like my body's healing itself, or on a molecular scale. It's always in my legs. It'll work up to my waist, and it's like it's pretty strange. But that's true. That's when I'm really relaxed and I've let go, and my mind's just floating, and my body just starts like buzzing. And they're some of the best, deepest trips where you've seen some amazing things. Most of the things you see is when your eyes are closed, when you're meditating. So it is in the mind, but it feels very real as your mind can be.
Oh yeah, definitely does feel very real.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can ask questions, and it'll show you. It'll sort of answer them in its way. It's not going to like whisper the answer in your ear, but it'll take you on a journey, the journey that you need to be taken on.
So this last year, I think between the two of us, we've eaten just about every magic mushroom you can. But there is one that I've never tried, and I would like to try it. I always get its name wrong. Is it the Fly Agaric? The red one with the white spot.
Oh right, well that isn't psilocybin. That's another drug.
That's a different one, isn't it?
Yeah, and I haven't tried that either.
But there's a lots of stories about that in mythology, and links to Christmas and Santa Claus and different things. Sounds really interesting.
It's like paganism, which is overlapped into Christianity. So it's Christianity based on paganism, but I think the mushroom was a big thing for them, even the pagans. So it must have been if it's been put into our Christmas theme and things like that.
So, do you know what that compound in that mushroom is called?
Psilocybin or something like that.
Right. Not the bin, but it's a psilocybin. And cynicism. Oh, cynicism. I'm sorry, trying to read. So yeah, that's one that I've never tried. And I've heard reports that that's also a very powerful hallucinogenic, but a psychedelic, whatever. What do we call them? Hallucinogenic, psychedelics. It's a mushroom.
Topic.
Yeah, right? I'm just going to stick with magic mushroom.
Well, the title of the show is Psychedelics, so just keep it under that.
So there's
psychedelic mushroom.
To that mushroom, more in the north, where it's cold, that in that safe region, and it grows apparently under fir trees. So if anyone's out and about, have a look under fir trees.
Yeah, pine trees. Yeah.
Pine trees. Yeah, that's what I mean. So yeah.
I think they're around in the autumn time, so it should be magic mushroom season soon. So I'll be out hunting them down myself, I think.
What, Liberty Caps?
Yeah, and some of those, what you said.
Ever since now, before, because I've had Liberty Caps loads of times. Great, I love them. They're quite mild. They're very different. And then there's Golden Teachers. They're very beautiful and also very gentle, I think.
Yeah, they're so popular because they're usually quite a good trip.
They're very gentle with you, the Golden Teachers. But then there's the ones that we started taking, the psilocybin, I can't say it. From like South America.
Yeah, we had the Mexican ones, and then we've had Ecuadorian, and then there's B positive, we tried those, and then we did the Terence Mckenna's, and then you got the Cambodian. So I've been through the full menu trying to compare which ones are the best.
Well, the ones from South America, for me, all pretty much gave the same effect, which is very heavy, very strong. Don't try and not let go because you've got no choice. You're coming with us.
Don't fight it, because that's when you're going to start.
Yeah, don't try and fight this. Very powerful, and they for me are always like a link to the gods and very spiritual and mystical experiences. And the LSD always is more of a well, you know, those ones are like you're traveling through different dimensions and different galaxies or whatever, but it's like different dimensions. But the LSD is like it physically took me to places, like physically. I was there. I was like dancing with the Indians, like summoning the rain and stuff, you know, and riding horseback with the those people that live in mountains. I've lost my words, but yeah, very, very different experiences, but all very memorable.
Yeah, and yeah, like real memories, and they seem quite, you know, in your mind quite clearly, and they fade with time like all memories, but they stay there for quite some time, you know, especially if you have quite a impacting journey.
Yeah, for me they've all been very impacting. But I'm a lightweight and can trip off cannabis, so there you go. There you go. Yeah, and I really can. But when you know, it's as if these mushrooms open a gateway that it takes a very long time to shut, because it takes you to a place that you never could have imagined, never could have dreamed of. And but then if you trip again after that, like some time after that, for me, I can just like have the smallest amount, and I'll just go straight back to those places, and it's just as heavy, you know, as taking a massive dose.
Once you
It happens to everyone else, but it does to me.
No, it's I mentioned this today. We haven't talked about DMT yet, but I'll mention it now. And Changa, which is a natural form of DMT. When I had the DMT, the Changa, it took me on this amazing journey. And then since I've had magic mushrooms from that point, it sort of took me back to that similar kind of place in the Changa trip. So it's like a door was opened and I can go back there, which was an amazing door to have opened. And that was the most absorbing 10 minutes of my life with that Changa hit.
Mm.
And it was just so intense, proper out-of-body experience.
Out of body, out of mind, out of self.
Out of self, oneness, never felt so much love, pleasure, just like everything all positive.
But it's not all positive for everyone. I think we need to make that clear, because when we do take you know, like DMT, Changa, whatever, you know, you are delving into the depths of your own mind, and you know, there's not a scarier place on earth. So you know, it's not always the most beautiful. I have heard some frightening reports.
Yeah, it's all down to you as an individual, though. About, like, you know, if you have got things on your mind, then don't do it. It's you just gotta have a free mind. When I had the Changa, I've been camping a couple of days at a festival, and the lead up to it was just a really good day. And then when I had it, it paid off in my experience. There's no doubt in any of it. It was just all love and light. So I go back to that point in my mind when sometimes I doubt this spiritual journey we're on, but that, like, so I can go back there and just get a glimpse of that moment in my mind, and it reassures my faith that there is more to life than just this.
Yeah, it is. I find that very comforting, because
Yeah.
all my life, and most people have this, but all my life I had an intense fear of death ever since I realised I was here. You know, when your consciousness drops in when you're about 6, 7. So I always had this intense fear of death, because I just, you know, you've got this blackness of, was there anything before you? It's just blackness, you don't know. And so you think that was frightening for me. It's just going to be nothingness, like switching the TV off. And so I had this fear all my life. I carried it with me, and you know, it used to trigger panic attacks and all kinds. But the one thing that magic mushrooms have done for me, and I'm very thankful and grateful to the mushrooms for this, is they have dissolved that fear completely. I'm still concerned with how I might go. You know, I don't want it to be a car accident or, you know, some
really horrible and painful.
Yeah, no, but I'm not in the least bit concerned about what happens next.
No, I don't think you need to be. I mean, it's the finality of death is like you said, switching a light off, and it's like that is a scary thought, but the beauty of opening and expanding your mind and your consciousness is the realization that it can't be over like that. It's like you're moving on. We're here for a purpose. It's beautiful. I can recommend it to anyone.
Yeah, we're really not trying to.
Yeah.
Mushrooms.
Yeah, but
while you're on about recommending it to anyone, why don't we tell people how they can go about sourcing some mushrooms if they ever did fancy taking it in a safe setting with people they trust, with a clear mind?
Yeah.
How can you go about that?
Well, there's a few. Some people do it from scratch and get the compound, and I'm not really sure to do that. And you can buy the spores legally off some of these sites. You can import them without any trouble, just for scientific purposes. I think the title does, and you can do it all yourself. But there are places that sell grow kits, which are really simple. You can order them off a site called Wholesalium. And they come through the mail. You need Bitcoin, or you can do a bank transfer or post the money off. They come through the door. There's no markings on any of the packages. You're just getting a sandwich box with some white substance, and there's no mushrooms in there. And once you get them, you get a bag. You put the packet, the sandwich box, and take the lid off. It says you need to have water, but I don't. I just grow them from that point onwards. You just put moisture in the bag every day. Just open the bag, moisturize it, but don't get any water on the subsoil, it's called. Don't get any water on that, just on the outside of the bag. And just do that. And after 10 days, you've got some magic mushrooms fully grown. Now, you pick them and you can redo the kit up to 4 times. It's called a flush. And what you do is add water and put it in the fridge for 12 to 24 hours. Fill the sandwich tub right up with the subsoil in it, and it needs to go below 6 degrees. So you put it in the fridge 24 hours, take it out, drain off the excess water, put in the bag, and you're good to go again. And it'll do that 4 times. It'll produce magic mushrooms. So you get quite a decent harvest. Now, once you've got the harvest, you need to dry them. So you put them in a net on tissue. Don't let them touch each other. Have them all separate, and turn them once every day. So because they'll tend to stick to the tissue. So you just peel them off and turn them. Put gloves on because you will start to hallucinate by just handling them. They're really potent. And after 5-6 days, they're dry, and they will last you for up to a year if you keep them in a dark tin, in a dark place, out of sunlight. You're good to go a year without freezing them or anything.
So that all sounds pretty straightforward, and
It's really, really straightforward. You don't have to do anything other than sit back and watch and spray them up once a day.
I think I'm going to get myself a grow kit. I'm going to get one.
You don't put them in direct sunlight, so you just put them not in direct light, just in a corner somewhere. But there can be light in the room, but just not any direct sunlight on the subsoil, the mycelium. And brilliant. You can get heat mats because you got to keep them over 21 degrees. So you can get a heat mat. You don't want to put them on a radiator because you'll just dry it out too quick, and you'll just ruin it.
Mm.
So an airing cupboard, perfect. But like I say, you need a little bit of light in there.
But not direct sunlight.
Not direct light.
Ah, well, thank you very much for that informative segment.
Yeah.
There's the education segment done.
Yeah. The Psychedelics, they also do truffles, which I could highly recommend starting with the truffles first. There's one called the Philosopher's Stone. Can't remember the proper name for it. But if you look up Philosopher's Stone, there's a truffle there, and it's a real nice body eye. And I started. You can order these from Amsterdam, Azimuth, or the whole Celium site. You get 15 grams, but they do these eggs that can grow up to like 80 grams. But 15 grams is an expert dose, so I recommend just starting with 5 grams and just build up your confidence.
Yeah, so you recommend then, not that you're recommending anything, but you recommend that if people are want to start tripping, start with the truffles.
Start with the truffles and ease yourself into it gently. Don't just go in at it, I want to get fucked up, because it'll just end in tears. Just like I said, it took me a full year to get to having a hero dose, which is like 5 grams, or I did have 23 grams of truffles one time, and that was an insane trip, and it was probably one of my most memorable and pleasurable.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was the orange truffles. That was really intense.
Well, thank you very much for all that information. So if you're interested, you can go out there and find these sites and buy grow kits and get everything.
Do it yourself, then you know what you're getting, don't you? That's the beauty of it. You can pick exactly what you want, grow it. You're not worrying about getting a bad one or eating toxic one or anything like that. It's just a peace of mind.
Isn't technology convenient?
So that's there for it. It's connecting you to these sort of pleasures. It's just difficult to get your money across. So
I like that point of view, Aaron. The internet is there to connect you to magic mushrooms.
yeah, it's like, well, that's what Bitcoin's there for, so you can get access to these illegal substances. But you still pay your taxes. They make sure they get the taxes on it.
Yeah, of course they do.
Mm.
So what have we talked about? We've talked about getting them, taking them, experiencing them. We've talked a little bit about society's views on them and the penalties that you can incur if you're caught doing them.
If you're caught with possession, there is no chance of going to jail. It's only if you get caught with
Growing them, cultivating them.
cultivation and in selling them, which, like I mentioned earlier, it can be up to a 7-year prison sentence.
So yeah, Tina just said that's a bit harsh for a bit of fungi.
It's like people making laws on these things should experience it, and then they've got a true opinion enough to make a judgment such as that. But they never tried anything like this. They've just read a book or some scientific review that's been funded by the Anti-Drug Society and just really biased. Like you say, you know, it's like propaganda.
Yeah.
I watched a film from the 1939. Someone put on my timeline, Reefer Madness, and it was about weed and the weed worse than heroin and all this stuff. And it's just the amount of propaganda that was going into that film and brainwashing. It was mind blowing. It was like, oh, I'm going to stop smoking.
It was a very
like 5 minutes.
Sorry for cutting you off.
You can understand like these old timers not being in, you know, drugs, they're bloody bad them for you, they'll kill you then. But they've grown up on these kind of films, you know. They were funded by this was going on in the cinema. It was like really well done film for them times, but because they wanted to get the point across and put the fear of God into people, basically.
Which it did. It worked
perfectly.
Successful piece of propaganda that had a massive impact on society for a very long time. So it was highly successful.
That's great. But like, because with drugs, it's like the government's supplying all these drugs like cocaine, heroin, so they can't run the propaganda too heavily. They've got to let it go because they just put themselves out of business.
Yeah, they're missing out on all that tax money.
Yeah, so they make it look cool, like, you know, the gangsters and rap music, sniffing coke and shagging women. This is the way to be with your bling. It's like, so they're more pro drugs now, aren't they?
Yeah.
But still keep the draconian laws there so they can punish you if you step out of line and decide to start getting involved in this yourself, you know, like squeeze out the competition.
Maybe. You still there, Aaron?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, right. It went dead silent then. I thought we'd turn the computer off again. Many apologies tonight, viewers, for all the technical problems we've had. We've had a lot of sound difficulties. My microphone's had a mind of its own. We've been talking about psychedelic substances, the effects that they have on your brain, on your psyche,
on your cognitive function, on your expansion of thought, making you more creative in thought. I mean, have they helped in your creativity because you do quite a lot of painting?
Not in my painting, it hasn't. But whenever I have these experiences, it always triggers a lot of writing. Oh yeah, it triggers a lot of writing for me.
Yeah, it's it's just the way you approach ideas. It seems like I've got more ways of approaching it, which I'm really enjoying. Well, I've laid off the magic mushrooms quite recently, so perhaps I'm reaping the benefits.
Yeah, you probably are. It's not. I don't think it's something that you need to take every day.
No, it's not immediate. Your lesson isn't always immediate that you've learned. It might only come to you months later.
So yeah, there you go. I don't know how long we've been talking because I've not got the view page or anything. But have you got anything else that you want to say on there is something. I'll answer that question myself. I was talking. Yeah. Before you mentioned some magic mushrooms called Terence Mckenna's.
Yeah.
Can you tell us anything? Why they called Terence Mckenna's? Why they named after a person?
Well, Terence McKenna is like the ultimate cycling art. He sort of documented his trips, and he was around in the 60s, and he's a great philosopher. He's dead now, but there's a lot of videos out there, and he apparently discovered this magic mushroom, but I'm not sure if he sort of invented it and mixed some strains together. But I've tried the Terence McKenna magic mushroom, and it's supposed to be the strongest one there is, but I found it was quite artificial. I felt like I wasn't quite connecting to nature with it. So is it been created in a lab? Men in white coats created this super strong mushroom, but it just didn't. I didn't really enjoy it. It wasn't one of my favourites, even though I thought it would be. I built up to that, going through all the different strengths, thinking, I'm ready for the Terence McKenna now, and it just was really disappointing for me.
The same here. Same here. It was for me also. But yeah, Terence McKenna was. I think he was a student at the time, and they took a trip to somewhere in South America, sorry, and accidentally discovered the magic mushrooms, and he went on quite a journey. So, I mean, he didn't discover magic mushrooms, but his own discovery of magic mushrooms was accidental, kind of.
Well, he gave it exposure with his philosophy, because he really looked deep and studied his experiences, and he created communes and did group shamanic experiences and ceremonies, and he really delved into the depths. He was like into having orgies on mushrooms and sex, and he really experienced it all. So he did a lot for the thinking, because he was very expressive and he had a great way of putting words together. So I recommend anyone go and listen to some of his stuff. It's really, I don't agree with all that he says, but he's quite on point with a lot of stuff. There's hundreds of videos of him out there.
Yeah, there's lots and lots of lectures you can go and listen to, and his different experiences and his different conclusions.
Well, he talks a lot about like the norms that you run into, and they're the ones that play tricks on you and play with you a bit. And then there was the mother, he would call her, and she's like the main entity. And before he died, he had an experience where he says mother turned his back on him, and he never he never tripped again after that point. So yeah, I've been looking for the videos to see what he actually mentioned it, but I've never found anything. I've just heard it through someone else.
Right.
I'm sure it's out there. I've just not stumbled across it yet. But yeah, a great guy. Did a lot for it. The science and the science.
People.
And how to approach it, and setting up your intentions, and he really looked deep into it. He spent his life's work studying it and experiencing it and promoting it.
Well, it's been a very interesting conversation tonight, Aaron. It's been a bit frustrating with the sound and everything. Have you got any
bit of a bummer
to add before I tell everyone about the snack of the week?
Well, I wanted you to mention your DMT experience. You didn't really go into that.
No, I didn't. I had been offered DMT on a few occasions, but it hadn't felt right, and I'm not one to be peer pressured into things. And then one time it came upon me unexpected, and the moment just felt perfect for it. So I dove in, and it was a very intense and very powerful experience. I was instantly transported to I'll just call it a heaven's gate. I was in a fluffy white cloud setting with a giant rectangular golden door in front of me. And I said, would you please let me in? And they let me in, and I was taken to an Indian god or Hindu god. I was shown this beautiful blue being that did the dance of creation for me and explained how creation is held in place, and showed me so much love and affection, and then sent me back, which I was most disappointed in. But
Traumatized.
I was quite sad, not sad but remorseful, on my return, and just because that the feelings that I was getting when I was in that place, that I can't really put into words. So I'm sorry, viewers, but you'll just have to try it. And so I was just like, it was like a grieving. I had a slight grief when I came back because it was such a beautiful experience. I was just being greedy. No. And I was like, no, it's not my time. Yes,
I'd drag you back kicking and screaming.
So yeah, it was a very, very pleasurable experience, very intense experience, and something that actually kept coming back to me. Periodically, I'd just be sat doing something mundane, and I would slip back into that place very briefly.
Well, it's like a download, but there's so much to take on board. It can take years to process what you see in them few minutes.
Yeah. After I'd been with the blue Hindu god thing.
Oh yeah, you saw the dancing Shivas, but quite a few of them, weren't there? Thousands or something, millions.
It was the same one projected over and over and over, like thousands.
All dancing in sync.
All dancing in sync.
Yeah.
Like just slightly behind each other, just momentarily behind each other. So it created these great patterns with the arms and the legs and the everything. Yeah, it was amazing. But after that, before I was sent all the way back home, I was with these. They weren't female, but female energy was coming from them, and they were like camouflaged, beautiful camouflaged beings that would like step out of walls. You didn't know they were there until they showed themselves, and they were very enticing and really like.
Sirens.
They wanted me to go with them. You know, it's like they wanted me to come with them. So yeah, really, just a profound experience, and hopefully I'll get to do it again one day.
Yeah, it's not something that you would do on a regular basis. These with the Changa and the DMT, there's something you might only do once in your lifetime, but not because of it being bad in any sense, but just because it's so like mind blowing that you wouldn't do it justice to just do it recreationally. It's sacred. It's a sacred experience, and you realise that while you're experiencing it, that it's not something that should be abused. It's like a gift. Been given a vision to see something that seems very, very real.
Yeah, it does. It does. When you're communicating with these beings, it does feel like it's a true communication between consciousness.
Yeah, and you haven't got for me, I didn't have a body. I was just my soul was experiencing it, and it was all round, and it was just too much to take in, really, and put it into words. It just wouldn't do it justice. I wouldn't know how to. But like, you're seeing colours that you've never seen before, and it's like, wow! I can remember myself saying, "Wow, wow!" You know, it was just mind blowing.
Just talking of seeing colours you've never seen before. One of the things that I quite enjoy when on magic mushrooms is the ability to see sound. You see, I see sound coming from things like in waveforms, in the shape that it is, and it's really it's just a strange experience.
I've seen like energy coming from people, like spiraling out, and when we've had group trips where it's coming from everybody, and different colours of energy coming from that different people, and all blending in the same room, and it's just an amazing experience when you get it right with a group here. It can be like mind blowing. But you're all experiencing the similar kind of feel and vibe, and getting enhancement from knowing that everyone's experienced a similar kind of thing. It's awesome.
It sure is. I'm afraid that we sound like we're advocating drugs, and we're really not. We're just talking about.
We're advocating the experience that cyclopin and magic mushrooms can give you, and it's not something that you should abuse at all. And I don't think the drug itself would let you abuse it. It's not something that's addictive, and it'll kick your ass. It will kick your fucking ass if you try and abuse it. So, you know, heed these words, but respect the mushroom, and it'll respect you.
Yeah, wise words. So that's your Aaron's wisdom for the week.
Yeah, I was struggling to come up with something, but we'll stick with that.
Yeah, we'll stick with that. That's great. You do notice you fall into it by accident every week.
Yeah.
I love it. I think I might have some magic mushrooms tonight. I might do a trip report tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I'm here with Tina. I'm waiting for Sam to come home, and we've already discussed it earlier, so I'm looking forward to that. It wasn't something that was planned either, but it's happened so naturally.
But they're the best ones.
And then with us doing this particular talk on this night, it just all fits in. So yeah. And the children are not here, so hooray!
Hurrah!
Yeah, I couldn't think of anything worse. Trying to do anything sensible, like look after children. Don't do that, people. Don't trip with kids.
Or electronic devices.
Oh, electronic devices. My goodness. Now, there have been times when I have not been able to turn a kettle on. I have not been able to work the keyboard. I haven't been able to turn the TV off, but I have been able to turn it over with my mind. And there've been times when I have had to turn the Wi-Fi off because it's interfering with my experience, and all I can feel are those frequencies bouncing through the building, and I've got to turn the Wi-Fi off. There's even been a time when I tried to turn someone's electric off.
I tune into the Wi-Fi quite a lot. It's usually at the end of the night when I'm a bit worn out and ready for shutting down, and then I seem to tune into it. So I've unplugged it myself at people's houses.
It's got to be done. The mushrooms, they want nature. They don't want this technological.
Well, all your senses are heightened to an unbelievable level. So it's like you're experiencing things that are there, but our consciousness can't accept this information because there's too much for it to accept. So we just keep it simple, but it just enhances everything So you do get to see what, because when everything starts blending and you're seeing these mad shadows moving around and colours on the wall that, they start moving and curtains waving and the stars dancing around. It's like, wow,
Yeah. Oh, that's what I will mention, because we actually had a shared experience where we saw the same thing.
Yeah, the void, the sky opened and started dancing.
Yeah, we witnessed the void, and what happened was, this was the night that we had the DMT, and the DMT was not planned. We were going to some event. We thought it was a psychedelic event. Turned out to be some kids' rave.
Yeah.
So we got the hell out of there. So we'd had LSD and we'd had magic mushrooms, and I think we'd had some other stuff. Ecstasy. Which also, I'm not advocating ecstasy. So we were high, but there was a point in the evening where we'd gone out to smoke, and we both saw same things in the sky exactly, that nobody else could see. So what was that?
For me, that was quite a profound, I'll use it there, a profound experience, because it looked very real, and there was we actually went back into the house where we were and pointed some of the stuff out to Tom and Nicola, and they could see what we were seeing, and it looked very real, and it weren't just one thing; it was a number of things. Like there was a couple of lights in the sky real low, weren't there? And there was stars coming out of the bottom of them and shooting up through the top. Yeah. The stars looked like they were hanging on wires and wobbling around, and
the stars
looked like silent craft moving around like drones or something.
Yeah, they looked like little spider drones. Like the stars were little spider drones, and they were running to and fro from each other on those spider web tracks.
Yeah, it was just fucking insane. But it was like there for quite some time. It weren't just like minutes. It was there for summer.
So that's not something I've ever experienced before. Sharing a vision with someone else, because like you explained earlier, the tripping is very individual to you.
Yeah.
That I've not experienced it since, and I've never before either.
No,
so
I haven't seen it since.
I did feel privileged the next day to have experienced, but in the moment, I actually had a real deep moment of dread.
Yeah, it was quite a bit terrifying, because it's like I feel so like this little insect watching all this fucking sky like moving round and stuff going on. Not that they're not bothered and observing it. And thinking, it's like, are they going to take us away?
I felt like they were going to come and take us away. Yeah, they did. But it was the dread was short lived, because it was you. You said it was your DMT not taught you anything.
There's nothing to fear.
Nothing to fear. I forgot then. So yeah, it was amazing. Really.
Yeah, mind blowing. But I feel like I've had quite a lot of mind blowing experiences over the last 12 months. So it's like you sort of get used to having your mind blown, so you don't take it on so much and it just carry on. What's next?
So I'm gonna wrap it up shortly, because Sam's due home from work and I need to make his dinner.
Yeah, no worries. You're doing your snack thing, and we got time.
Snack thing. Yeah, I do have time. This one's it's not really a tasty snack. It's very tasty and it's quick to make, so that's like a snack in it. But you don't eat it, you drink it, and it's just my favourite smoothie in the world. And as long as you're not vegan and you've not got any nut allergies, you're good to go. So, a bit of milk, some high fat natural yogurt, spoon of honey, a spoon of peanut butter, chopped strawberries, and some bananas, and blitz it. You've got the most delicious, densest, high fat energy drink you'll ever taste. And if you really want to add some more fat, put an avocado in there, and it will last you all day.
Bravo.
So yeah, that's what I've been on that smoothie for like 3 years.
Well, I did do it myself in the past. What the recipe you gave me, and I did find it rather filling.
Very filling. It wasn't the recipe I gave you wasn't supposed to be drank all in one go. I forgot to mention, but you're a big guy, so
Well, that's it. I can take it, but it filled me up, so I couldn't eat anything shortly after. So I was just relying on the smoothie, which if I got to go to work, it's not getting me by.
no, it's not going to sustain you for work. If you down that whole smoothie, it's going to put you in a coma.
Yeah, that's like, do I really want to go to work today?
No, this
That energy and uplifting, it's just it's not going to get me by for like 5 hours. It'll probably last like 3. But I want it to. If I have a normal smoothie, I'm hungry after an hour.
yeah, no, this is a
Keep you
high
going ish.
high impact smoothie, and it's great for anyone that struggles to to keep to gain weight, or anyone that's a bit underweight or a bit on the skinny side. So it's just a good way of getting a lot of calories and a lot of fat into your system,
And protein.
and protein also. So there you go.
Mm.
Not just a tasty snack, also good for your health. So
Yeah, get on the
got,
smoothies.
you got 2 for 1 there.
Raw vegan, except the egg. You can leave the egg out.
And the milk.
I don't use milk. I use cashew nut milk or soya milk, almond milk.
Yeah, you can definitely switch that smoothie up and make it vegan.
You can
Definitely,
put
no
some
problem.
distilled water in.
You could. I don't recommend it.
I've done that when I've had no, because I
Oh,
never
when
put
you-
milk in my smoothie.
yeah. So anyway, I'm going to call it a night because I need to go.
No
I've,
problem.
I've
Right.
had an absolute pleasure. It's been a great show, in my opinion. Apart from it's all you.
Interference.
It's YouTube's fault. I'm blaming them.
Yeah, no worries. Right, I enjoyed it. Enjoy your trip. Have a good one.
Thank you. Good night, Aaron. Good night,
Good night,
Aaron. Good.
watchers and listeners.
Yeah. Thank you for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in. Cheers. Bye.
Bye bye.